Primeau fan.
Thank you for having me.
Your fans are like,
what an honor to be here, Pete. You're a legend. You're a rock star.
I'm a legend in my own mind, said my wife.
If I can do it, anybody can do it.
I'm Mr. Selling from the Heart. What's this guy, Larry Levine, going to teach me about selling from the heart?
You are one of the most generous and authentic people around. And I think that's why you and your show are so attractive to people.
Good afternoon, everybody. It is episode 242 of the Pete Primeau Show, and we have my friend Lee Salz on. We're going to talk about sales differentiation and his new book in just a second. Let's pay the bills first. No, we're not doing that one. If you haven't read my book, Sell a Million, what are you waiting for? The best compliment I ever got on this book was, take furniture and take mattresses out of it. It's a great marketing book and a great business book. And that's what this book is all about. It's about marketing and it's about business. My second book is about sales, and it's 43 years of sales. I've traveled over 2 million miles, and I've sat at the foot of some of the absolute best in the industry. And my friends helped me write this book. I didn't write this book by myself. So I'd like to give a shout out to Chris Tahaney, Brent Batterman, Jeff Giannakovo, Randy Thompson, Scott Vaughn, Justin Trumbo, to name a few, Mark Klingenberg, and I'm missing a few, but we're going to keep moving because I have some bills I've got to pay. If you guys haven't joined the Mattress Industry Network group, what are you waiting for? I believe we're over 2,600 strong now. If you want to learn how to build, market, and succeed in the mattress industry, join this free group. And you don't have to be all alone. I know as store owners, often you find yourself feeling alone. And you don't have to be alone. There's lots of store owners in here. In addition to that, there's sales reps, there's RSAs, there's owners of manufacturing companies. There's a lot of people in here. You should be in this group. You should be networking here, and you should be asking them questions that you have. It's 100% free, and join the group. And thank you, Steve and Greg, for sponsoring the show. Hit that QR code and tell them Pete sent you. I get in there a few times a week. And we have something coming up next week. It is an incredible event. It's Scott Vaughn's masterclass. It's going to be in Nashville, Tennessee. And guys, gals, if you haven't been to this event, you have to come. And even if you've gone, ask yourself this: was I drinking from a fire hose so much? Scott Vaughn pours 20 years of experience into this thing. Should I go again to really hone in? And if you want to save some money, just get on the website and sign up. Use the code Pete, all capitals, 2025 for $200 off. And it's a great event, guys. You get to ask questions. There's lots of roundtables. And when you walk out of there, you're going to walk out of there with a tribe of people that you've spent 2.5 days with, and that you have a lot in common, and who know a lot about your business now, and you know a lot about their business, and you will literally have a tribe for life. So I can't encourage you enough to sign up today if there's still some openings. I don't know if Scott has booked it up completely, but go to Wingo and join that masterclass, because it is the best. And here's the best part, guys. The best part is you fly into the airport. No Uber, no Lyft, no taxi. All you got to do is walk up the escalator into the Hilton, and you're good to go. because it's right there at the airport. So join us at Scott Vaughn's Masterclass and help drive your business results through the roof. And with that, let's get started. Lee, thank you for being here.
Pete, great to be back.
Well,
right again.
I'm so excited. So for those of you who don't know who Lee is, I'm just going to take you down memory lane a little bit. These are just some of his books. These are the books that I have from him. He's always been a sales contrarian. He'll always be a sales contrarian. He passionately loves our industry. And the last book that he wrote is this one, The First Meeting Differentiator. And I have to tell you guys, whether you own a retail store, you're a VP of sales, you own a manufacturing company, or you're a sales rep, there's going to be a lot in this episode for you. And I want you to ask yourself a few questions. What can I apply to my sales? Because this doesn't work in just B2B. It also works in B2C. And the more complicated the sale is, the more important what we're about to talk about is. And this is in general. You want to talk about trends in an industry. Here are the trends in our industry in case somebody's asleep at the wheel. We are going to higher end product. We have to survive. The customer demands it of us. They want a better experience. Customer demands excellence from us today. And this is about being the best you can be. This is about a better process, having better meetings, and truly embracing being a consultative seller. And Lee, like when I think of Lee Salz, I think consultation selling. This is the guy. May not have written the first book on it, but he's gonna write the last book because all of his books are talking about the power of creating something with another human being and going deep into what their needs are so that we can come up with the right thing for them and provide them with an experience that they can't get anywhere else. So guys, you feel free to ask questions. I've got a lot of questions for Lee. So Lee, thank you for being here. But man, I'm like a thoroughbred racehorse just waiting to go. So I think I know the answer to this question, but every time I've ever said that on this show, I've been proven wrong.
Okay.
So I think I know why you wrote the book, but I'm going to ask you the question. Lee, you've written some great books. You've done a lot of great things in your career. Yeah. Why did you write this book?
It's a great question. And, Pete, that normally is coupled with a second question. And why should I read it?
Yes.
And if any of you are smiling, because that's what you're thinking, you're going to love Chapter 5 on empathetic expertise, which dives deep into the art of emotionally connecting with your buyers to energize your deals. Look, countless studies have shown the first meeting is critical when it comes to increasing win rates. The first meeting is the deal foundation. If that first meeting is weak, guess what? So is your deal. And what I've found, Pete, is that very few companies have a clearly defined, repeatable strategy for handling first meetings. They just assume their salespeople, they just bring them on board and say, I'm sure you had this master, you got to ask some good questions and tell them about our stuff. And that assumption is deeply flawed and it causes sales organizations to underperform. And Pete, this isn't new. It's not a modern problem. Sometimes you hear about issues and it's new today. It's not. This was just as true a century ago as it is today. And guess what? It'll be true for generations to come because the principles of human connection, trust building, and differentiation are timeless. Now, whether your first meeting is 15 minutes or 2 hours, there are non-negotiable elements that must be addressed, right? You got to qualify the deal. You got to differentiate what and how you sell, and you got to create emotional engagement. So that's why I wrote the First Meeting Differentiator, to give executives and salespeople an implementable methodology to create a first meeting framework. And Pete, you said something a moment ago, and that made my eyebrow go up. I don't know if you noticed it, but there's so many sales books out there that when you read them, they go, okay, this is really interesting, but how do I implement any of this stuff? Does that drive you nuts too? I can't stand that.
So yes, to answer your question, it does drive me nuts, but to go take this a little further, there's a sentence in the first few pages of your book that
Yes.
I absolutely love. Read and you will find strategies, techniques, and the most important part, tools.
Tools. Yes.
I love it. I love it because that shows me where your heart's at. When you care enough to provide the tools to get us all the way there, that's a whole nother level.
Absolutely. And you know, what's interesting is there's a gazillion books written on the subject of prospecting, how to get the meeting. But what about once you land it? Or in the mattress space, when someone's coming into your store, where are the books that help you take the deal forward? And many of books out there, including some of mine, touch upon the importance of the first meeting and sprinkle in a few tips or strategies, but none dedicate themselves to the topic comprehensively. And Pete, as you're referencing there, this one is a structured step-by-step guide to mastering the first meeting that didn't exist until now. Now, I created a video yesterday, and I'll share this with you here. I'm going to confess something, Pete. Did you see the video I put out on social media?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, a little confession here. And this is something you're going to find shocking to hear from an author. You ready? I hate reading.
No way.
I don't enjoy it. I didn't say I don't read. I read a ton. What I said was I don't enjoy it. And I'm sure I'm not alone on this. I'm sure a lot of our viewers are feeling the same way. So I've got a rule. Whenever I write a book, I won't write a book that I personally wouldn't read. So what you're going to find, and Pete, I know you got an early version. The book is relatable stories, it's workshops, and it's spoken English. It's something that's easy to understand, and it's based on proven real-world strategies. What's also included in the book are downloadable workshops. So you're not just reading text. There's actually links where you say, okay, before you go any further, download this because you're going to go through a workshop with me. And this applies, as you mentioned, to B2B, B2C, products, services, technology, software as a service. It's all applicable. But I mentioned there were two questions. The second one was, why should I read it? And there's one answer. To win more deals at the prices you want, you got to have a strong first meeting strategy. And that's what this book is going to teach you how to do.
And at the margins that you want.
That's it. Win more deals to prices you want. That's my moniker.
You know, we have to get more margin these days than ever before. Businesses demand it, and your success as a retailer demands it. And for my sales reps, my B2B sales reps out there, and I know there's a lot of you that watch this show. This show is probably the single most important one you're ever going to watch of mine. It will literally give you a playbook. And my store owners, all of this applies to you. It applies to your salespeople, especially if you deal with better goods and more complicated sales. And most of you do. The dummies that really need to watch the show don't. It's you know, Lee, you've been in this training area for so long, and isn't it true that the businesses that need you the most, that you could probably have the very best impact, will never pick up the phone, will never call you, they're never going to respond to any of your outreach. And the ones that are already pretty well on their way there, they're dying to get you. They want you there. They will pay top dollar to get you in there because they want just one little edge. And if they get two, they're going to go through the roof.
Well, Pete, I don't know if you ever noticed this, but there's an interesting dynamic in the business setting. The IT people, they bring in outside resources to evaluate technology. The finance people, they bring in outside people to evaluate the numbers and help them make some decisions on how to best invest their money. Then you get to the sales side. Bringing in an outside resource is seen as a sign of weakness. We should be able to figure this out on our own. And it's flawed. So many sales managers got their job for one reason, because they could sell. And God bless them for that, right? Because they could sell. And so then what the owner or the manager is saying, here's the plan. We're going to have disciple selling. You familiar with this, Pete? We're going to make you the manager. We're going to get 5 people underneath you, and they're going to do what you just did, and we get 5 times the sales. I'm yet to see that work. Have you?
No, it's one of the biggest problems in our industry, in all industries. It's a sales industry problem. It goes across all industries. First of all, emotionally and mentally, what makes a great salesperson does not make a great sales manager.
That's very true.
And then to make it worse, we take a thoroughbred who all he or she should do is be out there selling, not
Right.
coaching other people because they don't have the patience to coach. But
Or the skill set.
well, that's where it gets even worse because
Mhm.
they don't train them. They throw them in there. They say, just do what just teach them what. Do you want to know? Here's the problem with that. Most people are unwilling to do what top producers do. Top
right.
producers do things that you could never require in a business setting in America today.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
get away with it. You would be accused of being a slave driver. I mean, the top producers work so hard and so passionately at their craft. And one of the things that really struck me is that you have been in and out of different industries. And after your initial meetings, often were complimented, and pretty much they thought you were in the industry for a long time and you were actually a consultant and not a salesperson. To me, that is the highest compliment you can get paid as
Absolutely.
a salesperson.
I agree. I agree. And what I did on a number of occasions as I went into different industries was I figured out what was most important to my buyers. And I developed mastery there. And I didn't do anything that my salespeople couldn't have done. And it was interesting. In a lot of these cases, I was hired as VP of sales, and I had salespeople that had been in the industry 10, 15, 20 years. And in a matter of months, I ran circles around them. And that's not to pat myself on the back. It was actually an irritant because I didn't do anything that they couldn't have done themselves. I studied the industry. I learned what matters most, the things that were going to affect the sale.
Well, that's why you have the career you have. That's why you have written the books that you've written, because you've committed to excellence. And, one of the things that you talk about, and I think it's super important for everybody to understand this. There are foundational things. There are things that must be done for you to be successful. And it doesn't matter if you're in wholesale or if you're in retail. You must become an expert, and experience doesn't guarantee that you're going to be an expert. And I love how you varied that and contrasted that, and actually said that you can have experience a number of years, but not be an expert.
That's right.
And you can also not have as much experience, but you can become an expert through study and through paying attention, and really ultimately through caring. Like, you don't
That's
do
right.
these extra things if you don't care. And you want to know something, Lee? I know that you're a bench press champion in your state, and I've loved following you over the years, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later. But
Sure.
I had the misfortune of dropping 600 pounds on my neck.
Oh my goodness.
And I was lucky that the one guy that dropped it caught it on the rebound. And I actually ended up getting a CAT scan that night. I finished the meet. I actually deadlifted after that. There was a doctor who cleared me. It was all bruised up and ugly looking and scabbing up.
Gosh.
But he said, "You're okay. If you want to do this, you can do this. I'm going to stay here until you make your last lift." But
So you did this on the bench?
So I dropped 600 on my neck.
Wow.
On the bench.
Wow.
And
because now there's safety rails. So one of the things at powerlifting meets, when you are first getting in there, you have to go through the measurements. And what they do is they take the bar, and it's on these safety rails that are on the sides of you, and they roll it back to make sure that that can't reach your neck.
I think it's the Pete Primeau rule.
Yeah,
I
it
was
should
called the
be.
headless
We'll name it
bencher.
after you.
If you see anything about the headless bencher, that's me. I was the headless bencher. So
Wow.
anyway, just real quick story. It ties right into your book.
Yeah.
I knew that I had to conquer 600 quickly. I had just trained. I had peaked. I was really, really strong, more than strong. It was a technical thing. And we can talk about it after the show. We don't want to bore anybody with the technical bench press stuff, but you'll appreciate the mistake that I made. It was a mistake, and
Sure.
It cost me the lift and almost cost me my life. And of course, I had been married for 2 days, and my poor wife was screaming in the audience. It was a whole scene.
Oh my goodness.
But at any rate, that was the last meet I think she went to. Like, if you're going to kill yourself, I can't watch. But
Yes.
at any rate, so I found the best bench press coach in America, who was Bill Crawford at the time. He was benching 800 when nobody else was. And he was even a better Lee. This is unusual because we just talked about this. He was a better coach than he was a lifter, which is very unusual. He was a very technical, precise guy, and he had a really big heart. And you know what? I said, Bill, I'll pay you whatever I need to pay you. I must have driven that 8 hours to his place, no less than 15, 20 times. He never took a dime, and he probably spent 2 hours at a crack with me.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, I do disagree with you, though. You said that that's rare. I think it's very common. I mean, there's only so much that the human body can do, right? So, but you can have wisdom. And if you look back in baseball, there was a famous hitting coach, Charlie Lau. George Brett credits him with making him an incredible hitter. But if you look at Charlie Lau's batting average, somewhere around 200. He wasn't much of a hitter, but he was known as, at the time, as the best hitting coach.
Wow.
So you see that very commonly that, I mean, there's only so much you're going to be able to bench, right, Pete? Body's just only going to do so much, but you may have the wisdom and the mastery to help others that have certain talents that God didn't give you.
Yep. But Bill was actually a great bencher, and he was an even better coach, which is, to me, that's unusual.
That's terrific.
Because my next coach was never a really good lifter. He became the coach of Black's Health World, and I don't know how many world champs came out of there. But let me finish this real quick. So my first session, he says, show me how you bench with the bar, no weights. I show him. He goes, put the bar back, get off the bench, do it again. And I do it. He goes, get off the bench, get back on the bench, do it again. And then he comes unglued, Lee. He goes, you just did it 3 different ways. You just did it 3 different ways, and you can't. There's only one way. So before you leave today, we are going to do it one way, and we're going to figure out what that one way needs to be. But there is only one way you get on that bench. There's only one way you grab that bar. There's only one way. And, what I really got out of your book is you were a coach, a mentor, and a cheerleader all at the same time, Lee. And you were encouraging us to be the best that we could be. And what he said to me, and you've heard it said by a lot of coaches, how you start is how you finish. And one of the things that you so brilliantly say in your book, it's beautiful. If you don't build a strong foundation for your sale, it's going to break at some point. That's right. And it's never going to be, even if for some reason it was going to happen no matter what, it's never going to be what it should have been. And, I believe this is foundational. And the other thing is, I told my reps this for years. And I've told my dealers this for years. You have to earn the right to be in front of a retail customer. You have to earn the right to be in front of a store owner. And the price that you have to pay is you have to become an expert. And that is done long before any meeting. It's done way before that. And if you don't do the intel, you don't do the homework, you don't know the marketplace, you can't add value. What are you doing there? I mean, you should feel like a phony because you are.
Yeah. I mean, you have to come in there with that mindset of adding value. One of my favorite questions to ask salespeople: if I agree to take a meeting with you, what do I get out of it? And the reaction to that is, well, they'll learn about my company and what we offer. That's not meaningful value to them. And they say, well, why is that? So, well, there's two types of sales. And I'm going to explain this in the context of a bathroom environment. You ready, Pete?
I'm ready.
Okay. I sell toilet paper. You buy toilet paper. You're just not buying my toilet paper. And I'm saying you should be buying my toilet paper. That's a takeaway sale. They already have a provider in place. And the nature of the sale is we're going to show a superior solution. That's one type of sale. You ready for the other one, Pete?
Sure.
You buy toilet paper. I sell bidets. Another way to solve a problem.
100%.
That's a demand generation sale. Now, most of us are in a takeaway sale. So let's think about this. They already have a provider. They have a supplier in place. And we're saying, I know you've got 400 things on your desk to do, but put those aside and meet with me. Well, here's the problem with that. They have a provider. They have a supplier in place. And that's where we get stuck if we think that first meeting is a discovery meeting. And you mentioned before, I'm a sales contrarian. Just about every salesperson on the planet's been told the first meeting is a discovery meeting. And I completely disagree with that. And the reason is this. Think about how you prepare for that meeting. You make a list of the questions you're going to ask and the information you're going to share. What does the other person get out of that meeting? We haven't given it the slightest thought. And that right there is why prospecting is so hard, because we've conditioned the general public to believe, and rightfully so, that the only time to meet with a salesperson is when you're ready to buy something, because you're not going to get anything out of that interaction. But what if we perceive that first meeting in a different way? Think about the times when you've had to go to the doctor. And Pete gave a great example of having to go to the doctor. You go to the doctor for two reasons: to become wiser about your circumstances and understand potential remedies. I mean, would you go to the doctor if you thought the whole visit was for the doctor's benefit? They're going to gather all this data, analyze you every which way under the sun, and you get nothing out of it. Well, that's what a discovery meeting is. Now, doctors, they don't call that a discovery meeting. They call it a consultation. Now, I'm not going to say I coined that expression, but I've embraced it. And when you think in terms of a consultation, you recognize the other person you're meeting with has to get something out of that interaction as well. Or guess what? There won't be a second meeting. Pete, do your viewers and listeners like free stuff?
They love free stuff.
Excellent. I think we all do. Well, if you go to meaningfulvalue.com, I know it's a tough one to remember, meaningfulvalue.com, there's an excerpt from my new book, 10 Ways to Provide Meaningful Value, and it has nothing to do with them buying your stuff. But the idea behind that is they will come away with information that helps them either in their role or helps their business that they say to you. And here's what I call the meaningful value test. I'm so glad we got together. I'm so glad we met. That's what we're looking for at the end of the first meeting. That's how you know you've provided meaningful value.
That is awesome. And thank you, Chris Stone, for the magic. If you guys are watching on the replay, meaningfulvalue.com. If you're listening to this on audio, meaningfulvalue.com. It's free and it'll help you. Chris Tahaney, my former boss at DreamFit, my former boss at Protect the Bed. How are you, brother? Chris Haney says, I was fortunate enough to get some good advice early on from guys like Keith Mackey and John Ratched. Yeah, you're lucky. Those guys are great. Your only goal in your first meeting is to get the second meeting. That's one of them. Thank you, Lee, for putting in the time to devote an entire book to the subject, and congratulations on your launch. Look forward to the release. And my friend, Chris, the release will actually be at the end of this month, right, Lee?
Well, actually, you can get the first chapter now. If you go to firstmeetingbook.com, you can download the first chapter. You can pre-order it wherever you like to order books, such as Amazon, and it ships or makes the audiobook or the Kindle version available on September 30th.
So, Chris, just so you know, and you know how I consume books, I ordered it on Audible, and I ordered the paperback version as well, because I was lucky enough to get a preview copy, and I could see that it was beyond worthwhile. This is going to be the most dog-eared, ragged book you've ever seen in your life. It is going to look like it's 10 years old within 6 months.
And that's my meaningful value test. When I see a book like that, that tells me I've provided meaningful value in what I've put together.
Yeah. Well, it's so good on so many levels. But the thing that I love the most about everything that I've ever written that you've wrote is you're constantly asking us, begging us as an industry to be better. And I love it. And we need more of it. It's not about manipulation. It's not about, sprinkle this fairy dust and you're magically going to make millions of dollars selling. No, it's good old fashioned work. And guess what? Working smarter and working hard, both at the same time, which,
Pete, there's a title in sales that no one can give you. It's one that you have to earn. And it's sales professional, right? No one can give you that title. And the way you earn it is by having a commitment to continuous self-improvement, that you do something today and every day to make yourself more effective tomorrow. That's the key. That
is a great quote that's in your book. That's a quote every VP of sales should have. It should be in their office. It should be in every piece of communication with your sales team. If you aren't doing something every day to make yourself more valuable to your clients, dude, do that. What are you doing? Like, you're wasting your life. Find something else to do. Stop giving sales a bad name. Serious. I'm sorry. Went a little, got a little Pete Primeau-ish there. So Lee, we've been batting this around a little bit, and I think we've already brought some value to the table. Mm-hmm. What drives you? I know that you, I know what it takes to write a book or two, and you continue to write more and more books, and I've only got 4 of them, but you've written more than that. Mm-hmm. And I have a sneaking suspicion that it has something to do with your bench press career, where you ended up winning championships after you tore your tricep off. And guys, I had a really blessed run in powerlifting for 4 or 5 years. I won and won and won and won. I never tore my triceps off. And I can assure you that if I ripped my triceps off the bone, I wouldn't bench press anymore.
Well, I didn't do it benching. So that was a good thing.
That is a good thing.
Yes.
I was trying to figure out how you did it.
I was doing overhead extensions,
Yeah.
And I had done it. I don't remember what the weight was, but I had done a set of 10. And I said, okay, let's go up 5 pounds. That's all I did. I went up 5 pounds after doing 10 reps. And on the second rep, I just felt like a giant rubber band snapping in my arm.
Yeah. I tore my pecs doing dips, weighted dips. I think I had like 4 45-pound plates on there. And I knew something was wrong after my third or fourth rep, but I said, you know what? I'm not, I'm just going to go harder. And
Mhm.
so I felt that whole rubber band thing, and it was crazy because my coach told me exactly what was going to happen. He said, Pete, you know, you tore your pec. He goes, you gotta have a doctor look at it to see if it needs to be surgically repaired or if you can get by with I could get by without surgery. He
Mhm.
goes, it's not gonna look or feel like much. It's just gonna be like a little bruise there. It's gonna get a little sore.
Mhm.
You're not gonna be able to train. He goes, by the end of the fourth or fifth day, that bruise would have come all the way down. It'll be yellow, purple, and it'll be all the way down into your fingertips by the end of the week.
Yep, I had that.
And that's exactly what happened. And you know what? It was, Lee, I think it was 6 weeks out. And I was able I was 6 weeks out from a contest, and I was able to get that thing healed up. So it was not a tear. It was a partial
Okay.
tear.
Yeah.
But I felt
Mine was
rubber-
surgery. Mine was surgery. Mine was no gym 6 months.
Oh Lord.
Yes. And anybody who works out religiously knows it's not the physical, it's the mental part. So not being able to lift for 6 months, oh my gosh. You didn't want to live with me for those 6 months, I assure you.
Well, it's our release, right?
It is. It is.
And after that, you came back and you set more records.
Came back one state, and then this past year in December, everything's great, feeling good. And I had benched, what was it, 345, not 600, but 345. Then the next week, I've been working out with the same guy.
I can't do 345 right now. So
Okay.
345 is a big weight.
I've been working out with my buddy, same guy, for 20 years now. Every Saturday morning, we meet at the gym. So I've done 345. And then the next week, I'm like, oh, I'll put 350 on. And I start going, and 345 went up easy. 350, all of a sudden, I just felt my shoulder go. So I tore my rotator cuff about a month before the state tournament, and still was able to find a way, I don't know how, to win it. And then after my bench tanked, and just now I'm ramping back up. Doctor did the MRI, said, yeah, you need surgery. I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. If you look at the success rate of rotator cuff surgery, not very good. Then I said, all right, let's try physical therapy. I went to one physical therapy session, and the physical therapist, whatever he had me do, made it worse. And I said, okay, we're done with physical therapy. I'm going to come up with my own plan. And that's the beauty of today. You can go online and develop your own rehab plan, which I did. And luckily, it's gotten me to a point where I'm within, 5% of where I was so far.
Wow.
And at 56 years old, to get that recovery that quickly, we'll take it.
That's great. That's great. So I'm not going to let you off the hook. I think that what allows you to come back from these injuries and compete in powerlifting is a lot of the same. So where does that come from, Lee, in your story? Where does that come from?
My word, if I had to pick one word to describe me, is discipline. I put a video out last week. I didn't feel like going to the gym. I really didn't. But I had my shirt, Pete, right across the top. It said discipline. I'm like, guess where you're going? And you just got to go through it. And it's the same thing I do with anything in my life. I just have this way about me around discipline, that if something needs to be done, I spent yesterday, and we had this book launch. I've got about 150 individual packages I need to send out to all the partners that are supporting the book launch. And, started somewhere around 8 a.m. yesterday, and was watching the Yankee Red Sox game, which was not enjoyable last night, as I was finishing.
Well, discipline is the horse you ride on the way to your goals. Without discipline, you just can't get there. Period.
Agreed.
Period.
Means you do it when you don't feel like doing it.
Yeah, that's the only
Whatever
time
it
it
is.
really counts, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So, Chris, thank you for your question. That was a great question and comment. If I was you, Chris, I would order the Audible book and the paperback both, because we're in the car so much, you might as well make it learning time. And the other thing is, it's such a good book. You're gonna want to highlight stuff. You're an exec in, Chris, you are always in executive sales roles where you're responsible for a team of reps. This is a book that after you read it, Chris, you're going to want to gift this to your salespeople, and I would hold them accountable to implement everything that's in this book. And if you don't, shame on you, because it will give your sales team an edge, an incredible edge. So thanks. For anybody else that's got any comments, hop in. So I've got one for you. So where does qualifying fit in to your first meeting strategy?
Oh, you don't need to qualify. Who told you need to qualify? Oh, is that a sales thing?
There you go. Yes. Again, the sales.
There we go. There we go. Well, it's one of the most underappreciated skills by both salespeople and executives, right? We say, salespeople, you got to qualify deals. Okay. Qualify relative to what? We haven't given them something to benchmark. And that's the problem. And so some of you may be thinking, I'm talking about an ideal client profile. And I got to tell you, that's the worst thing you can ever give your salespeople. I'm pausing for a moment because that's such an accepted premise. Here's why. An ideal client profile says if all the stars were to align, this is the kind of business we'd love to have. It's like a lottery ticket. It's a 1 in a gazillion chance you'll ever stumble across one of those opportunities. But what every salesperson needs is a target client profile. And that's not me wordsmithing. It's a tool that says this is who will perceive the most meaningful value in what we offer, which gives deals the greatest likelihood of coming to fruition. What this says is this is where our salespeople should be investing their time in the pursuit of these opportunities. The most precious resource for salespeople, really for any of us, is time. The most successful people in the world will tell you how they invest every minute of every day is a major factor that determines their level of success. And it couldn't be more true with sales. With salespeople, if you don't have clarity on what those right opportunities look like, feel like, taste like, you wind up chasing deals, spending tons and tons of time, and you say, we lost at the finish line. And I do these postmortems all the time with clients. And they'll tell me about this deal, and we'll go through this exhaustive process they went through, and they say they, quote unquote, lost. And I correct them and say, you didn't lose. You were never in the game. You were never a viable option. And if you had a target client profile in place, you would have been able to figure that out in the first 5 minutes of the conversation. So in the book, there's a chapter dedicated to this, and there's a 12-step, a 12-component process that you go through to develop a target client profile that will give you and your salespeople such clarity on the types of deals that they should be pursuing.
That's awesome. Since the beginning of time,
we're going back there, huh?
Salespeople have been told to share features and benefits. You disagree with that as well. Why?
I do. Well, if you want to put people to sleep, it's a great approach. I mean, that we fall into the features and benefits trap because we ask ourselves this question: what should we tell them? Right? That's the discovery mindset again. What do we want to tell them? And that leads to 3 issues. We talk too much, we run out of time and don't share the most important information, and we don't arouse emotions. And if we want them to do something, they need to feel something. That's a theme I keep coming back to in the book. The question we should be asking ourselves, and if we have the consultational mindset, we will. What do I want them to remember? That right there, that's a totally different planning approach. What do I want them to remember? You may recall, I talked about this first in my book, Sales Different. Herman Ebbinghaus, an 1800s researcher who developed the forgetting curve. It was a learning and memory study, and it's just as valid today. And what he found was that people forget 50% of what they learn within 24 hours And remember, less than 10% a week later. So let me do that math for you. You have a 1-hour consultation a week later, they remember about 6 minutes of it. So if we come back to that planning question, what do I want them to remember? Rather than sharing features and benefits, we share client stories with the features and benefits embedded within them. Stories are much more easy for people to remember. Tons and tons of studies support that. Stories also arouse emotion. They're memorable and they drive action. That's the key.
You know, you already answered this, and it's tied closely. What do I want them to remember?
What do I want them to remember? Yeah.
How do I want them to feel?
Yes.
And you said it. I'm glad you came in. I am so glad that we met.
That's right.
When they say that to you, you've made them feel the right way.
Right.
And the way they feel is, I am glad I took this meeting. And ladies and gentlemen, no matter whether you own a store, you're a vice president of sales, you're a sales rep, you're not going to be where you are forever. You're going to be somewhere else, despite the best laid plans that you have for your life. You're going to be somewhere else. And if you're calling on that same buyer, will he or she want to see you, to take a meeting? If you don't deliver meaningful value, and what I love about Lee's book is he doesn't just talk about value, delivering value. You want to throw up. Meaningful value.
Meaningful value.
That's relevant to the buyer. So the buyer goes, you know what? I didn't know blah, blah, blah was doing this. I didn't know this trend in this industry. I didn't know that, you know, this new law that was passed is going to impact my business. And
right.
Talk to me about it. So guys and gals, I'm going to tell you guys a story real quick. I got a client to do business with me, not because I had better features and benefits. Did I give them a better product? Yeah. Did I give them a little bit more margin? Yes. The reason they went with me, and this is after I asked them, after we did the deal and after we had done business for a few months, I said, so listen, you were looking at a lot of options and I respect that, but you chose me. Why did you choose my company? He goes, Pete, I didn't choose your company. What do you mean? I didn't choose your company. I chose you. I chose you because nobody understood the new fire laws. Nobody understood that except you. You were the only guy that really understood it. So I said to myself, this is somebody that I want to do business with, somebody that I can learn from. So reps, think about that. It's not good enough to just talk and puke on them about your company. You have to be able to deliver meaningful value, and that's relevant to the buyer. The buyer decides whether it's meaningful value, not you. That buyer told me that information on the new fire codes and how it was going to affect how we build mattresses going forward was super important to him. So what did I do? I put that arrow in my quiver and I used it again and again and again and again. And now it doesn't exist. It's not current today, but there's another trend. There's another litigation. There is something going on in the industry that you could deliver massive value to your buyer, and your store owner will be thankful forever. And store owners, there are things that your customers don't know about your products and the benefits that they can get from the product that is super important to them. And finding out what's important to them is the key to this whole thing. I'm sorry. I see you're itching to make some comments. After all, it's your book, brother.
No, this is great. I'm basking in it. What can I say? I love it. But you mentioned something there. It was really interesting when you talked about that, why that individual selected you rather than your competitor. And there's an expression in sales. It's been around since the beginning of sales time. And I'm guessing, Pete, you've heard this expression 4 million times in your career. People buy based on emotion, justify their decisions with logic. Did I get that right about 4 million times?
Mm-hmm.
Now find a salesperson that actually puts it into practice. I'll bet you the deed to my house, if we recorded 100 sales calls, first meetings, all around the world, all different industries, 99 of that 100, the entire meeting was logic.
Yep.
So every salesperson on the planet has heard this, and no one's doing it. And I struggle with this. I'm like, I don't understand. If everybody's heard this, why aren't they doing it? Well, you may remember, Pete, from chapter 1 of Sell Different, I told you the story of Steven. My oldest son played college baseball. What's not in there is my younger son, David, also played college baseball. And I remember when the two of them were first learning the game, they were kids, and coaches would say, now the name of the game, hit home runs. And they'd go, got it, hit home runs. But guess what? Nothing changed until they were taught how to hit home runs. So we preach to salespeople that people buy based on emotion and justify their decisions with logic. And just like Stephen and David did, yep, got it. But until you teach them how to do it, they don't know how to appropriately engage emotions when selling. So in chapter 5 of the First Meeting Differentiator, it's one of my favorite chapters in the book. It's titled Emotion, the Deal Energizer. And that's such an important aspect. And if you think about anything that you buy, you don't buy based on logic. You buy based on emotion. And so if we're only having a logic conversation and they're making decisions based on emotion, we have an alignment issue, right? Because they're making a decision over here and we're having the conversation over here. And there's a great expression. People forget what you said, they forget what you did, but they never, ever, ever forget how you made them feel. And that's such an important part of this emotional engagement. And there's a 3-word expression. I share this in the book in defining empathetic expertise. They get me. They get me. And that expression right there. And for that story that you just shared, Pete, that's why he bought from you. Because he said, Pete gets me. That was the magic.
So good. Lee, we could go on for 2 or 3 more hours, but I got to start wrapping this up, brother.
We both got to get to the gym.
No, I did the gym. I did it at 5.
Nice. I'm going later.
Got my CrossFit workout in, and then I went to the Y to put the finishing touches on it.
Yeah.
So I'm toast right now. Lee, I just have to say this to you before we wrap up, and I'm going to ask you one last question.
Okay.
Thank you for all you do for sales. It's obvious to me that you love sales. You're committed to making us all better, whether we're in retail sales, whether we're in wholesale sales, B2B, doesn't matter. You are committed to making sales better, and it's evident in the amount of care and thought and extra work that went into this book. Go out there and don't buy one, buy it for your entire staff. Everybody, I mean, whether you're a retailer or whether you're B2B, you need to buy this book. You need to live by it, and you need to implement it and take advantage of all the extra work Lee did to give us workshops in the book.
Can I mention something based on what you just shared?
Sure.
I'm doing this for a number of organizations. If you buy this book for your sales team, what I'm doing is having private book club sessions. So if you buy it for your sales team, send an email to firstmeeting@salesarchitects.com. Firstmeeting@salesarchitects.com. Send the receipt there. And then we'll schedule a private book club session with your salespeople. We'll give them a few weeks to read the book, obviously. And then this will be an opportunity for them to ask questions and say, hey, I was reading in chapter 5 about empathetic expertise and how to ask emotive questions. Help me put some of those together. That's the type of conversation we'll have in those sessions. So again, if you buy it for your team, send the receipt to that address and we'll get that scheduled.
Anybody that is not familiar with Lee, he just gave you thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars of consultant value there. I mean, a meeting with him costs a pretty penny, and to get it for the price of buying, a few dozen books is insane to me. So, Lee, is there a question that I should have asked you that I didn't?
How do we end the meeting? Right? We've just had a great meeting. How do we end it? And if your meeting has gone well, there are two must-haves, absolute must-haves to end that meeting. That there's a defined next step and a scheduled next interaction. And it's so easy as a meeting's wrapping up, it's gone well, it's been conversational. Say, oh, I'll follow up with you next week. I'll shoot you an email and we'll pick up the conversation then. No, we can't do that.
Yeah.
Right there, when everybody's together, got to lay out, here's what we're going to do next and schedule that next interaction. Super important. And I got to tell you, it seems so elementary, but it doesn't happen enough. I hear stories countless times. We had a great meeting and I'm sending emails trying to get that next one. And it's been months. I haven't heard back from them. Schedule it right then and there. That's how you wrap up that meeting.
Lee, thank you for being on the show. Andy Anderson, 1,000%. It's all about emotion.
That's it.
Andy, buy this book. You'll absolutely love it. This is what I'm going to say to you, Andy. You do most of this stuff right, but you will find things. I found several things in it already that I'm changing. I've been doing this for 43 years that I'm changing. I am just going to, this guy wrote the book and I'm going to take a page out of it or two. Krista, thanks guys. Love listening and becoming better sales people. You're welcome, Krista. We're glad to be here. And listen, I don't know if everybody here is real familiar with Lee. He is one of the most in-demand guys I've ever met in my life. It is an honor to have had him on our show. And he does have to leave a little bit early because he has got another meeting scheduled right at the top of the hour and he has to get ready for it. So, Lee, thank you. If someone wants to get a hold of you, how do they do it?
All right, best way is go on my website, salesarchitects.com. I think you just had it up on screen. There it is, salesarchitects.com. All my contact information is right there. Tons of resources, tons of video. And if you enjoyed today's conversation, if you look up Lee's Lessons, that's my channel up on YouTube. Tons and tons of videos up there too.
Thanks, Lee. Have a great day. Everybody,
Thank you, Pete.
Go forward and sell 1 million this week. Take care.